Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Dilip Modi, the founder of Spice Money, which is India's leading rural fintech company operating in the space of banking and payment. Hi Dilip, welcome to ELI.
Hi, Priya. Thank you for having me here.
I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Well, my name is Dilip Modi. I'm founder of Spice Money. We are a rural fintech company dedicated to empowering consumers in rural India. We operate through a phygital model wherein we onboard merchants and entrepreneurs in semi urban and rural India who use our digital platform to enable access to financial services for consumers in their communities. To date, we have signed up over 800,000 merchant entrepreneurs onto our platform, predominantly in rural India. And using our platform, they're able to provide a host of basic banking and payment services to consumers around them. And we've served close to 150 million consumers to date.
Okay, that is a huge number. Uh, can you tell us how it all started? What was the initial idea and how it was started?
So, Priya, my background is that of telecom and technology. I had the opportunity to build a telecom network business between 95 and 2008. That exposed me to, the whole world of mobility.
Mm.
And as part of that experience, we rolled out a huge distribution network in states of Punjab and Karnataka, where we rolled out our networks under the brand Spice Telecom. So this is my second venture after Spice Telecom. And so the way this started is that we saw an opportunity as smartphone penetration was growing
Mm.
and as internet adoption was growing. That there are a lot of users, shopkeepers, merchants who are looking at growing their livelihood by using technology. And the first product that we actually launched for a small merchant, on their smartphone or a web interface was actually recharge, a telco recharge product where they could access recharge using our platform. Then we moved into remittances, where effectively they could enable consumers around them to be able to remit capital. But really, where we saw the basic product market fit, as I would call it, or the fact that how we position Spice Money as a rural fintech,
Mm.
is when we saw the basic issue of a lot of consumers in rural India having bank accounts opened for them. So between
Okay.
2014 and 2020, you've had over 400 million Jan Dhan bank accounts open for consumers with the goal of directing government and public subsidies directly into their bank account.
Mhm.
This is part of the jam trinity that we all know of.
Right.
Um, there we saw an opportunity wherein we saw a problem statement which we saw it as an opportunity, wherein a lot of people had bank accounts but had limited access to their bank accounts because the nearest bank branch or the ATM machine in a village or at a block level was at a significant distance.
Mm.
So imagine a situation where money hits the bank account of a consumer, but he's not able to access it because he has to travel a distance to be able to get to an ATM machine or to a bank branch.
Mm.
uh, so what we did was basically, leverage the India Stack digital infrastructure, predominantly Aadhaar, to enable a small merchant or an entrepreneur in their town or village to be able to function as an ATM point, an ATM payments point. So the way the product got created was that a merchant onboards themselves onto our app,
Okay.
and they get access to a small biometric machine, which is the Aadhaar based biometric machine. And now, whenever a consumer wants to access their bank account, they
Mm.
come to this merchant, authenticate themselves using Aadhaar,
Okay.
and the money moves from the customer's bank account to the merchant's bank account, and the merchant gives the customer cash.
Okay.
So this is how the product got rolled out. And because of this, we really saw a big take up on the platform by merchants and entrepreneurs in semi-urban and rural India because of this huge demand to access an ATM point.
mm,
And so by converting a merchant into a digital ATM point, we saw a huge demand for this product. And that's when we saw a huge pickup in terms of adoption and scale up on the platform. Because of this, we saw a new kind of market open up, where now we were present in a lot of parts of semi-urban and rural India, because a lot of merchants from these areas onboarded themselves onto our app. And that's when we started integrating multiple products on the platform. So from just offering an ATM cash out product, we started offering bill payments. So we took a BBPS OU license, so people who are coming there to withdraw cash can also at that point pay the electricity bill, gas bill, water bill. We also integrated other products like travel. So people can also at that point book a train ticket, an airline ticket, or a bus ticket. So we also enabled the merchant to function like a travel agent. And directionally, where we started moving was to be able to convert many of these ATM points into like digital bank branches. So effectively now, consumers can come there to apply for a loan. They can come there to buy an insurance policy, or also make a mutual fund investment example.
okay.
So the idea was that today, directionally, when we talk about financial inclusion, the goal of the government and the regulator is to ensure that we can extend the reach of the formal banking services to the billion people that live in rural India.
Mm,
Now, how do we do this in an economically viable manner? And that is where I think technology can play a big role, because if a merchant using a smartphone, can function like a bank branch in their community and provide access to banks around customer data, around functioning as a collection point, as well as help them in terms of underwriting.
mm,
Then today the issue that banks face, that it's not economically viable for them to roll out bank branches in villages and in rural India, gets addressed. So what is today being led more by an informal banking system in rural India, where there are a lot of money lenders lending, how do you bring them all into the formal banking? So I think the first step has been taken by the government to ensure that everyone has a formal bank account
mm,
into which government money can go. But now, how do these become active bank accounts where
right,
people can get access to credit and do savings and investments? And so, how do we move from being a cash economy into a digital economy? And that will only happen if people start actively transacting with their bank account. And that
right,
has been the goal of platforms like UPI and others. But we've seen that Aadhaar is the starting point to get customers to start engaging and interacting with their bank accounts. And that is therefore the goal that we are now chasing with Spice Money, to be able to move a lot of consumers closer and as part of the formal banking system. So we see ourselves as a rural fintech platform with large consumers at one end, sitting in rural India, billion consumers looking, to get access to formal financial products. And on the other hand, you have banks and BFCs and all the financial product players, looking to access these consumers. And we see ourselves as a platform, where we've onboarded over 8 lakh merchants today. Directionally, we plan to grow that to a significant number, who can play the role of like effectively like a digital bank branch to connect, banks to consumers in rural India, and create a win-win-win, economic model for all.
right. Uh, Curious to know what are the different challenges associated with building a platform for the Bharat or the rural uh, segment of Bharat.
I think the biggest challenge, and again, the biggest opportunity also, Priya, is that, a lot of the consumers in Bharat have been, like when we think about digitization of India, right? I think, Bharat also is getting digitized. So what is happening
Mm,
is, when we think about building a fintech platform for Bharat, what we need to do is we need to ensure that we can get more and more users, which are the merchants to begin with, and the consumers there, to be able to engage with the platform digitally.
right.
So I think the biggest challenge is to make products and the whole user experience so simple and intuitive, right? So that a lot of entrepreneurs can then use the platform. We can bring in products that are relevant to consumers around in that community. So curation of products, we believe that we can't take the standard products that work in big cities and urban India, like a big loan with a long duration. We need to get into micro credit kind of products. We need to provide flexibility for payment. A lot of these credit may be unsecured in nature, so how do we handle collections, how do we handle underwriting, how do we get access to data that we can rely on for lenders to be able to underwrite on the back of.
Mhm.
So I think being able to capture authentic data on the platform and be able to take decisions to be able to lend to consumers and merchants in rural India, I think directionally is the biggest challenge and opportunity. So what microfinance industry did in terms of creating a unique business model for rural India, I think with digitization and the ability to onboard merchants and consumers onto us or using a smartphone, what more can we do to be able to bring them into the formal financial fold, and how we work with manufacturers to design and build relevant products, I think is the biggest opportunity and the biggest gap in the market that needs to be addressed.
Can you tell us about how do you onboard the merchant, which you call as entrepreneurs, to your platform? How do you recruit them and find them? And what is the training process you take them through? Uh,
So Priya, what we have is that we, of course, have divided the country into the districts in terms of, we have over 700 districts in the country. And what we've done is, what we've realized that, our business is very local in nature. So every district has a unique characteristic in terms of the kind of the economy of that district, right? Like, what are the kind of what people are doing, what are their financial needs, how do you work with them to do their financial how do you help them to improve their financial well-being. So in order to curate relevant products on our platform, what we've done is, in terms of structure, we've appointed a partner in every district, right? You could call them a distributor, a distribution partner. We call them a spice money partner, who effectively are from the district. And what they do is, they help us onboard merchants from that district. So effectively, they will have feet on street, who will be going out and interacting with merchants and entrepreneurs, and showing them what this platform can do for them, and then helping them onboard onto our platform. So we have these partners present in every district of India, and they help us to onboard merchants and entrepreneurs in every district. And then once they're onboarded on our platform, what we've done is, we've created a lot of content on the platform, when it comes to training and education. So we have a 30, 60, 90-day onboarding journey. So what are the steps that we need to do from a KYC point of view, pre-onboarding and pre-transaction, and then post. And depending on the appetite of the entrepreneur onboarded on our platform, on what products they want to work on, we have a lot of video and other content that we publish for them to not only understand the characteristics and the nature of the product, but also get trained on how to sell the product. So I think we have, we are leveraging digital to the hill to be able to, enable a lot of multilingual, vernacular content on the platform, to enable small merchants and entrepreneurs to be able to not only, educate themselves, but also, drive business and earnings for themselves. So at the end of the day, our goal is to convert all of these into digital entrepreneurs and enable them to earn a good livelihood while serving their community around them.
okay. Uh, from the fintech industry point of view, after UPA has come, it has become very easier to make payment, and most of the fintech these days are building products on top of UPA. For example, one click bill pay, and you mentioned about Bharat bill pay system. So how do you envision the industry, the fintech industry, especially the one which is operating at the grassroots level, evolving in next 3 to 5 years? What are the new trends that we are going to see in three to
Well,
five years?
yeah, I would like to focus my comments on predominantly, semi-urban and rural India, because that's an ecosystem that we are focused on and we are building for. I think, Priya, where I see and why we call ourselves a digital model is because we clearly see an opportunity for a unique model to be built where platforms like UPI and APS can be leveraged. So, for example, the early adopters of UPI and digitization are merchants in rural India, right? And they are downloading a lot of apps. They're using that, to be able to drive their business, their earnings, and all of that. And that's why we've seen many of them come on our platform and use it to deliver services and earn income for themselves. I think where the unique opportunity comes is that the next cohort, like if you look at UPI as a platform, today we have about 250, 300 million UPI users in the country, right? If we have to get to over 1.3 billion, right? We are, a lot of these will come from rural India, right?
True.
So directionally, where we see is that if you have a digital consumer who downloads a UPI app and does a lot of payments themselves, when it comes to getting access to advanced banking products like credit, insurance, savings, and investment, there is a need for a model where not only do they get access to information on their smartphone, but there's also assistance that they can get in their local community to be able
Correct.
to get access to products, right?
Yeah.
So because there is a lot of gap in terms of when it comes to information understanding of this consumer to be able to give them access to credit, right? And that is where a local community model can help, right? Where a locally onboarded digital entrepreneur can assist the product manufacturers to get data of the consumers. So I would, the way we visualize the business is there's a digital entrepreneur and there's a digital consumer, and both of them are working hand in hand, right? Where the digital entrepreneur is assisting the digital consumer in terms of onboarding, in terms of access to data, and also helping in terms of collections. Because at the end of the day, the bank files are very thin. Because if you look at all these Jantan bank accounts, the average balances in these bank accounts are very little, right?
Right.
So if you think of providing credit and then dipping into those bank accounts, people withdraw the cash and then keep it in cash. Now, if you have to be able to provide formal viable models, you need to be able to ensure that they also have the ability to repay in cash,
Right.
right? As much as repay from their bank account, because they've withdrawn the cash and they're sitting with the cash, right?
Mm.
So they have to put the cash back into their bank account. So I think the way we are visualizing the banking value chain going forward, we all talk about the digital the digital banking consumer, right? But there's also a huge model that the branch of the bank plays. And in a neobank model, everyone talks about a branchless model, right? We believe, and we strongly believe, that in rural India, you cannot have a branchless model. So we are
Mm.
reimagining the bank branch to become more like a digital branch operating on the smartphone of a digital entrepreneur in rural India, rather than the typical traditional physical branches that we are all used to seeing in big cities and all of that stuff. So if we can reimagine the consumer banking on the smartphone, we also could reimagine the bank branch operating on a smartphone in rural India. So I think our vision for rural and the ability for rural to become part of the formal banking sector is to reimagine the banking value chain both in terms of a digital bank branch and a digital consumer.
I think that is a big as well as beautiful vision. Moving ahead with the discussion, we would be very curious to know your overall entrepreneurial journey. If you can chronologically tell us how you became an entrepreneur, what drives you to become an entrepreneur, and I also understand you have been on an entrepreneur since 1995. So can you take us through some of your personal events and all, so that we can understand your journey?
Yeah, so Priya, it's been over 25 years, and it's been a very exciting journey, and time has just flown. Uh, I think after I completed my engineering and my management education, um, I India, this was in 1994, 95, and that is the time when this whole telecom revolution was just about starting, where new licenses were being given out and all. And that was very early days. And I'm a third generation entrepreneur within my family. My grandfather and my father built their own set of businesses. I had an option of either joining my father in one of the businesses that he had built and was running, or start something of my own. And I decided to do the latter. Because at that time, after finishing my studies, I realized that there are opportunities to build new things in new industries, and I really got the opportunity to enter the mobile industry. We managed to get a partnership with a company called Telstra from Australia, and
Mm.
that really started my entrepreneurship journey. This partnership that we got from Telstra, which was a leading mobile network operator in Australia,
Right.
and a license to operate a mobile network business in the city of Kolkata.
Mm.
And that's where we started our journey. We launched India's first mobile network, on 31st July 1995. The first mobile call happened on our network, and that was a true privilege and a unique opportunity to be part of such an amazing transformation that's happened in India, where we've gone to over a billion mobile users and become one of the largest data markets in the world. So
Mm.
for me, between 95 and 2008, I ran three mobile network businesses. At that time, the licensing was more regional in nature. Now, of course, we have national, all India players.
Right.
So we ran three licenses. We had to procure between Calcutta, Punjab, and Karnataka under the brand Spice Telecom, and that's how the Spice brand also, got born. So it
Right.
was effectively like a telecom brand initially, but we always were wanting to build it more like a digital lifestyle brand. And then, the industry got consolidated, and we also took the company public. But as part of the consolidation, we exited the network business, to Airtel and Idea Cellular,
Mm.
in the year 1998. Uh, Post which, I'd also started a hardware business, because we had also seen that, during this journey, there is a new revolution happening on the mobile hardware space, which was around dual SIM and multi SIM phones.
Mm.
If you recall, earlier before 2005, we basically had single SIM phones like Nokia,
Correct.
Motorola, Sony Ericsson, and all that. But led by China, there was a lot of this dual SIM technology that came into India, and we also launched Spice Mobile under the brand Spice. This was a subset of our Spice Telecom business.
Mm.
After we exited the network business, we continued with the hardware business. So I had two businesses, one Spice Mobile and another one was called Spice Digital.
Mm.
And Spice Digital was all about building new digital platforms and working on new digital technologies. And that's what I did between 2008 and 2015, for a 7-year period, where under Spice Mobile, we were selling dual SIM mobile phones to consumers across India. And under Spice Digital, we were building a lot of platforms and value added services for telecom operators in the region, not just India, but Africa and Southeast Asia as well. Uh, Around the 2015-2016 period, we saw again a shift happening in the mobile hardware industry, where a lot of the China ecosystem did a forward integration into India. And while a lot of design and manufacturing was sitting in China, a lot of them came into India, and you saw a huge influx of a lot of players like Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, and others who came in with very aggressive business models to drive growth. We had the hardware business in one company, and we had the services and platform business in the other. And that's when we decided to merge our hardware business with our partners, to be able to have the end-to-end control over the manufacturing supply chain as well. And we partnered with a company from Africa, who are the largest hardware players in Africa, selling over 120 million phones in Africa, with the idea that we would make India into the manufacturing base to also sell to Africa as well as build for India. And so, in line with our Digital India vision to shift the manufacturing ecosystem to India and build it for the world, the idea was that here we have a partner who's built it a large market presence in Africa, and we can also do an India plus Africa strategy together. And that's why we partnered with them, and we became more a strategic investor in the hardware business. And that's when I started focusing on the services and platform business. And our fintech business was born out of Spice Digital.
Mm.
So effectively, that's the business we started in 2016, 17, and that's where we are today. So that's been my journey so far, Priya.
I also understand you are venturing into one more category, which is into conversations and AI. So can you also tell us about it?
So as part of Spice Digital, we've been working a lot on enterprise solutions, and one of the areas with again growing digitization that we see is emergence of a new industry called communications platform as a service. where we see a lot of startups and players building these platforms to enable enterprises to have conversations or engagement with their customers digitally
mm,
using multiple channels. And because of that capability that we had in our digital enterprise business at Spice Digital, we decided to build a platform for this space, which is more omni-channel, where effectively the idea is that as enterprises want to engage with their customers in terms of marketing, contact center, and customer service, using multiple channels, not just traditional channels of SMS and voice, but moving forward to WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, multiple channels. How do we build a platform where we can give the enterprises a single view of the consumer? And that is where we got into this whole conversational engagement kind of a platform
mm,
product. We call it Corero Platforms. And this is a product out of our digital business unit. So effectively, it's at a very early stage of build out, but we're very excited with the initial set of beta customers we've got on board. And I think we're part of an exciting growth journey. Like, we can see about 800,000 merchants in small town and rural India who are now onboarded on Spice Money, and effectively they're like digital entrepreneurs. I
mm,
can see mostly all of them using a communications platform, the kind we are building at Corero. So I think the definition of an enterprise is not just the large enterprises, but also the micro enterprise, working in rural India. So I think, we have a huge market of small and medium sized enterprises who are also wanting to leverage digital and technology to be able to grow their business, and that is where we are building multiple platforms, right? And Corrado is one of them.
as an entrepreneur, you are expected to stay energetic all the time, and um, through because it is a very long journey. There would be instances where you may feel tired, restless, or you may lose focus. How do you manage such situations?
So, Priya, first of all, I think it's a voluntary journey. It's not a journey which anyone pays you to undertake. I think you take this journey out of your own will. I think the beauty of an entrepreneur journey is that you really have an opportunity to work on something where you can drive things forward through imagination and possibilities.
Mm,
And I think if you can figure out a problem statement that exists that you want to, that you can figure out a solution to solve for, I think that becomes the starting point of an entrepreneur journey. And I think, if you're excited about, what you're doing, then it's a good restlessness, because you're not anxious, but you're excited. And, I think being an entrepreneur is about, patience, rigor, focus. And I think, if you just stay that path, it's the most exciting journey that one can have. And there's no difference between Sunday and Monday, because every day is like a Sunday, because you're enjoying every day. and
right.
i think and I think that's the journey. So for me personally, whether it was the telecom business we are building, or the hardware business we are building, or now the platforms business we are building, these for me, it's about focus, excitement, surrounding yourself with teams who are more passionate sometimes than you in the problem you're solving for, and building on each other's energy. And I think, it's just something that you get up every morning, and you're wanting to make sure that every challenge that you see, or every issue that you need to focus on, you see it as an opportunity to keep building. And I think today what we are building at Spice Money, Priya, what's exciting, all of us at Spice Money, and now we are like a 700 plus team,
Mm,
is really the opportunity to serve people at large, right? The ability to say that we are building a platform that can digitally and financially empower a billion people, right, in rural India, is truly a very enriching and a very meaningful journey that we are on, right? And if I see the unique opportunity I've had, whether with telecom or now with fintech, I do believe that, as entrepreneurs, if you can put your head down and focus on something that you can build passion around, it's the most beautiful restlessness that you can experience.
How would you define the term entrepreneur? What is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you?
Well, I think to me, entrepreneur is about, solving problems and taking risks, right? I think, to me, an entrepreneur, is basically saying that, I will go out there and build something which, which is solving a problem, and I will take risk, and I will, you know, have, and give it whatever I have, right? Because if you think about our country with so many people we have, right, and we talk about job creation and all of that, to me, I think with the number of challenges we have, if we can have people solving for those challenges rather than looking for jobs, right, I think we do have an opportunity to create a lot of entrepreneurs. So to me, entrepreneurship is about problem solving and risk taking.
My final question to you. Tell us about the interesting lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur, which we can take away and apply to our lives and our ventures. And more importantly, we don't have to go through the same tough learning process that you have gone through.
Yeah, lot of lessons, lot of lessons. I tried to state maybe two, three of them.
Sure.
One is, I think, while passion is very important, I think it's very important to be also very prudent, when it comes to being an entrepreneur, right? For example, sometimes, you get so passionate about what you're building that even if it's not economically viable or there's no clear roadmap, you still stay the course, right?
Right.
And in that case, you may end up putting a lot of good money after bad money because you're working on something, but there's no clear economic viability to it. So one of the big lessons that I've learned as an entrepreneur in my journey so far is that, you have to also build a financially sound business. As an entrepreneur, it's good to be solving for something, but if it's not financially viable or financially sound, the journey does not last.
Right.
And so you end up putting a lot of good time of yours, because time is the most valuable thing that you have. And so if you spend a lot of time on a financially unsound model, right, then eventually it will hit a wall, right? So it's better to, define that upfront. And if you don't see a financial viability, take a call earlier than later. This is one big lesson that I've learned, right? The second one is just in terms of, being very clear around, access to capital, right? Financial capital, right? And being able to raise capital at the right time is also very important. And when we were building our telecom business, we were doing very well where we were working, right? In Punjab, we were a number one operator. In Calcutta, we were number one operator. We were doing very well. But then the business model changed. The industry got consolidated, and it was people who were able to raise capital at the right time who became the consolidators and consolidated the industry. So making sure that you have access to the right amount of capital at the right time is also very important. And the third and final point that I would like to share is that, from my point of view, the biggest lesson, or the biggest learning that I have, is that you're as good as the people around you, right? And I've seen that, at the end of the day, if you end up surrounding yourself with the right team, right, and really working, and building off their passion, then you can literally just let them run a lot of things, and you're just with the flow. So how do you put things in a flow is a function of the kind of teams you surround yourself with. And uh, an entrepreneur, just on your own, you cannot do anything, right? But if you're part of a team, and you can create the right flow where you can excite and engage people with what excites you, and it can become a combined vision and a combined energy that drives you forward, I think the journey can be not only more lasting but a lot more fulfilling. So these are the three learnings I would love to share with the listeners and with you.
On this note, we have come to the end of this discussion. We are truly honored to have you here at ELI. Thanks for your time, Dilip, and our best wishes for all the ventures that you'll build over next few years.
Thank, thank you so much, Priya. My compliments to you for running a great platform, and thank you for giving entrepreneurs like us an opportunity to share some of our stories with your listeners. Thank you so much.